I had to make the decision. Do I want to go on hating my body for the rest of my life? Or do I want to say, I'm beautiful, they're beautiful, why can't we both be beautiful? There's enough for every woman, every race, every ethnicity, every body size to feel beautiful. And how could I make a company and work for, size inclusivity in fashion when behind closed doors I'm hating my body? Yeah. That's a bit hypocritical, right?
On to the next quarter. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of On to the Next Quarter, where I bring to you influential individuals who have impacted my life and I hope can impact yours as well. Today, I would like to introduce you all to the all-around amazing person, Julianne Elise Beffa. Julianne went to Fashion Institute of Technology for undergrad and recently received her master's from NYU in Public Relations and Corporate Communications. She is now a PR professional in New York City. Her ambitions have led her to work with companies such as Bloomingdale's, Michael Kors, and Calvin Klein, where she pushed these companies to bring in inclusivity within the brand. She even worked with Amazon to launch their first ever plus-size clothing line, which goes up to 7X. Julianne is a huge advocate when it comes to body positivity, woman empowerment, and just being authentically yourself. And if you've had the pleasure of getting to know Julianne, you know that she is so caring, fun-loving, and just a beautiful human being from the inside out. And I am so excited to finally have you on the podcast. We've been planning this for so long now.
I know. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So I'm going to jump straight into the deep end because there's a lot to talk about.
So
and I know that me and anyone listening, we're going to learn a lot from this conversation. But I just want to start off by asking, how are you doing? Like, genuinely, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I feel like I'm at a very transitional period in my life. There's been a lot of chapters closing as of lately, and then I'm looking forward to new ones that are coming. Been a lot of different changes, traveling, things of that nature. So I'm just kind of in the middle in that transitional period.
Yeah, that's good. So I know that you recently mentioned to me that you had gotten laid off along with a lot of other individuals that I know are struggling with that right now.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering what your current experience with that has been.
Yeah. So as someone who's incredibly job and career focused, you know me, I'm always working, always looking for the next best thing, always kind of working and going to school and creating new opportunities. The layoff being such a shock to me definitely was something, nobody expects, nobody's used to, but it's taught me the power of slowing down and reevaluating where you are and then deciding where you want to go next. So it's been tough because I'm used to working 9 to 6 and then class 6 to 9. So 12-hour days I've had for probably 7 years. So to graduate from NYU and then get laid off, it's just a lot of free time. But that free time has allowed me to focus on things that I wouldn't have had time to do otherwise.
Do you think that moment that you got laid off, do you feel like it impacted your self-worth, or did you start questioning your ability at all?
I definitely did. I think it's hard not to. But you also have to realize that we're in the middle of a huge financial transition in this country. And I know so many people that have recently gotten laid off. I think if it wasn't such a, tough time in this country financially wise, I would have taken it a lot harder. But I do think there's safety in numbers and knowing that you're not the only one, and also knowing that there were other people at the company that were laid off at the same time doesn't feel so personal, I guess. But
yeah, but it still hurts a little.
It does. It stings, and I also realize that my self-worth, my identity, my pride, my ego is so tied to my job, and not having that, I felt like I lost a sense of, who am I? What am I doing every day? Why am I here? Why am I in New York? So I think that was, definitely a shock. But at the same time, you have to look back and realize why you're here, what you're doing here, and why it's important for you to be here.
Yeah. I know we were talking the other day and you were mentioning to me that, after not working now, you felt that you didn't know what your purpose was anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
So what do you feel like your purpose is?
I would say definitely bringing size inclusivity, as you mentioned earlier, bringing size inclusivity into the spotlight, continuing to push the fashion industry forward, and making sure that all body types, all ethnicities, gender identities, etc., are represented, is still my purpose. It's still my core. It's still my passion. So I ultimately just need to find a company that aligns with that, and a company that's willing to say, we see your vision, we understand the importance of this, we know you have the experience in doing this, so yeah, take the reins and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that people thrive in different environments, but recently I've been seeing this movement of people moving away from a typical 9-to-5 to doing their own thing, hoping that maybe it will be more fulfilling or aligned with their purpose. But from what I've observed, I feel like you thrive in the corporate environment. I feel like you thrive in big companies. So I was wondering what your experience in general working in that has been.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with my mom. I grew up with a mom who was the COO of a massive organization, and I think I was taught business etiquette and how to, communicate in the business world and certain things to do and not do from the time I was probably 3. Mm-hmm. So growing up in that environment with such a, badass, kick-ass mom definitely influenced me and my love of corporate America. Mm-hmm. I will say I've learned a lot since, the previous job I was just laid off from, a lot of mistakes, but I think being a part of a bigger organization gives you such a sense of purpose, the teamwork, being able to pull off events and campaigns and being able to actually see things that make a difference in the industry is incredibly fulfilling. And it just makes me feel great to be part of a big team and knowing I'm making a difference.
I love that because I feel like I don't hear it as much, me personally, that, working a 9-to-5 or working in a corporate environment can be fulfilling. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's more like I'm tired all the time and which is there, of course. But everyone just kind of says oh yeah, I quit my 9-to-5 and now I'm doing something that I love. But I like to hear opposing sides as well, because not everyone can go and quit their 9-to-5 and be an entrepreneur. And sometimes people's dreams are different, where I feel like you need a team, you need a big company to implement at a larger scale what you're trying to do.
Yes, 100%. I definitely agree on that.
Yeah, okay. So I want to backtrack a little bit. Okay. So you have been super successful as a young professional, regardless of current events. You have been so successful from literally undergrad. But I was wondering what started this whole journey into fashion and marketing, especially for curvier and plus-sized women?
Yeah, no, great question. And it's probably my favorite thing to talk about. So I'm excited to chat about this. When I was in high school is when it all actually began, because I loved fashion, but the industry did not love me. And I was actually diagnosed with a condition called PCOS when I was 14. And I'd always been overweight, but getting that diagnosis made it confirmed the reason. So I wanted to shop at Abercrombie and Charlotte Russe and Hollister and all those stores, but unfortunately nothing fit me. And I remember it was my sophomore year, I was trying to find a homecoming dress. I went to every single store in St. Louis to try to find a homecoming dress, and nothing fit. And so I said, you know what, enough. I'm just going to teach myself how to make my own dress that fits me. That's exactly my vision. So I had already been working. I actually got my first job as a hostess when I was 14 at a Chinese restaurant in my hometown. So I had some money from that. So I bought a sewing machine, watched YouTube videos on how to make clothing, went to Joann's and bought a bunch of fabric, and designed and made my first dress. And then from there, it just kept growing and growing, and I started making clothes I wore every day to school. And then people in my high school, when you're 15, 16, it's kind of your body's adjusting, some girls get boobs really big, really young. And some girls are tall or, you know, bigger or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I started having girls come up to me and say, you know, where'd you get that? You know, can I have a dress because I'm too tall and things are too short or whatever the case may be. So eventually I turned it into a little company called Julianne Elise, which is my first and middle name. And I started that company when I was 16. And I was also working in fashion at the time at a boutique. And so the goal of that was really to just make clothes for every type of body, because the fashion industry was nowhere near where it is now with size inclusivity. There was no love for curvy girls. My only options were Dress Barn at the time, so no
Dress
mainstream.
Barn. Oh my gosh,
I'm not even
throwback.
kidding. I know. So there were no brands that represented my body. And so I fell in love with really the whole process of, you know, seeing girls' faces that I dressed and made clothes for, to taking photos of, you know, the dresses and everything and launching an Instagram. So I was definitely very young doing it, but that was kind of the kickoff of where I got size inclusivity fashion from. And then when it was time to apply for colleges, I applied to one school and one school only, my dream school, which was the Fashion Institute of Technology. And I did not get in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was rejected. I worked on that application for 2 years. I applied at midnight when the application portal opened. I did everything. I had my own company. I worked in fashion. I had done above and beyond what the, you know, application requirements were. But yeah, I was rejected.
Wow. And then what happened?
So I locked myself in my room for a few days, crying and wallowing, because I found out in April of my senior year that I was rejected. So everybody not only knew where they were going to college, but they had their roommates picked out and blah, blah, blah. And I, you know, was 18, but I knew this was a very pivotal moment where I had two choices. I could accept rejection and defeat, or I could get up off my ass and change your minds. So I spent that weekend emailing and calling the admissions office and trying to get emails of anybody, president of the school, professors, whoever I could get a hold of. And then that week I put together a big portfolio. I wrote a why FIT essay, a why me essay, my 5, 10, and 15-year plan for the fashion industry, where I see the future of the fashion industry, pictures of my designs, pictures of girls with all different body types in my designs, and I outlined all the classes I was most excited to take.
Wow. And
then I remember I was rejected on a Friday, and then the Wednesday I heard back from the vice president of FIT. She emailed me back and she said, I have 15 minutes on Friday. I'll hear you out, but I'm not promising anything. So I booked a flight, flew to New York. I had only been to New York like once or twice. Brought that portfolio that I just brought up, met with her for 15 minutes, and she, you know, said, we've never in the history of the school reversed an admissions decision, so if I'm going to help you out here, it's going to take some time.
Wow.
So I left feeling a little bit, you know, I don't know. And I actually enrolled in community college across the street from my house in the meantime. And then it was July 1st. So exactly 11 months after the day I had applied, and about 1 month before school started, I was out seeing a movie, my ex-boyfriend, and I came home and there was the big congratulations, you've been accepted into FIT letter, and then a handwritten note from the vice president of the school saying that they're now going to accept 201 students into the program.
No way.
So then I packed my bags, and 3 weeks later, I moved to New York. I didn't know who my roommate was. I didn't have any friends. I had never been on the subway. I had no connections in the industry. I just took a chance and moved.
Wow.
And I've been here ever since.
Wow. I love that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Talk about persistence, man, and following your dream. That's insane.
Yeah, I didn't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
It's not gonna... Yeah.
Wow. I think that's like super important, especially thinking back to being 18 and when college is everything.
Yes.
You know, so that moment of like you only applied to one college, so that is like, you know, it's like do or die type moment when you're in that. But like not being accepted into the colleges that your friends have been accepted into, and then feeling that rejection is like tough, but then having no other alternative. I feel like those moments in life, though, when you have no other alternative, you create your opportunity.
Yes, 100%.
Which is what you did. And if you did not pick yourself up, you wouldn't. This is what now, like 6-7 years later?
Almost 8.
8 years
I'm
later?
starting my 8th year.
Wow.
About a month, yeah.
Wow. And your life completely changed in that moment because you decided to take a chance on yourself and your ability.
Yeah. It would. I can't imagine how different my life would have been had I not made those emails and got on that plane. It would have. Yeah. I don't know where I would have been.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that.
It's kind of a crazy story.
I did not know that about you.
Yeah, and I remember like everyone in my high school, I was bullied really bad in high school because of my weight. And I remember all these like girls would say like, this school doesn't want you, FIT won't, jump off the top of the Empire State Building, like you're so fat, what makes you think you get into a fashion school? And so I think I had even more fuel to get in because I'm like, they cannot be right. Like, no way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely embarrassing too because everyone knew I only applied to FIT. Like, it was my home screen on my phone. Like, it was all I ever talked about. So I told a lot of people at my high school I was waitlisted just to buy me some time because people were like, did you get in? Did you not? It was like the last decision anybody heard because everyone had already gotten in.
Yeah.
So yeah. Felt like a lot of pressure at that time to uphold. Prove people wrong and uphold my dreams and also fight for myself.
Yeah. I think that taught you at a very young age how to fight and stand up for yourself. And even though you had never been to New York City, I feel like that's what the city taught me once I got here. Otherwise I would have been pushed around left and right.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm still working on that. But like,
Aren't we all?
Yeah, but it really teaches you to come into who you are, and you just learn that early on that you have to fight for yourself. You have to fight for yourself no matter what, no matter if it's in the city or somewhere else. But in general, I feel like there will come a time in life where you realize like, hey, if not now, then when? And I can't take every no as a hit to who I am and not try again. Yes,
and I completely agree. I think the most important lesson I learned was, is it rejection or just redirection? Is it no or is it try again? Is it no or reroute and try another way? And so I think from that pivotal moment back when I was 18, it's really, really snowballed the rest of my life. Like, that's kind of how I think about everything that happens, decisions that are made. I mean, I had a dream of working at The Knot, which was like one of the only paid fashion magazine internships in the country. And I was rejected 7 times from that internship. Like, I applied and DM'd people that worked there on Instagram and emailed and called, and I was rejected. And then I started stalking the girls who got the internship and seeing, where they interned. And then I started interning at all the places they interned to try to emulate their career paths that got them to The Knot. So I think once you have the mindset of, okay, fine, that's a no. Let me try harder. Let me try this. Let's see if this path works. Let me think outside the box, navigate. You kind of set yourself up for success. And that really begins and ends with your mentality.
Yeah, 100%. So where do you think is the line between rejection and taking that as a redirection and maybe understanding that, hey, this is not for me, let me move in a totally different way? Or I got rejected 7 times, but if I try the 8th, I know I'm going to get it.
I think that's a tough question. I think it definitely varies for everybody depending on the person, what they want. I mean, speaking from my own personal experience, and I know this is very rare, so I'm not saying like this is the standard for everybody, but I've always had a very crystal clear vision on how my life would go, or at least my career. And I knew what I wanted. I know to this day what I want, where I see myself, what I want to accomplish, etc. So I think if you're feeling lost or you're feeling like, I don't know where to go next, close your eyes and picture your perfect day. Who would you be with? Where would you be? What would you be doing? How would you be making the money to get there? And once you have a clear vision of what you want your life to be, you work backwards. Okay, what do I need to do to get here? Okay, if I want to travel here, how do I do that? How do I get the money to do that? What am I doing every day that, fuels me to keep working towards this? So I think for me, it's been this crystal clear vision that's kept me going forward and knowing the difference between rejection and redirection. But I do think, obviously, there's times where you need to pivot, and like, it's a blessing and a curse having such a clear direction, because when things don't go my way, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But then when they do, it's like, all right, bet. Yeah. So I that's a tough question. You kind of stumped me there. Yeah. But I do think that whether you have a clear vision like me or you don't, being able to envision your future and kind of a set path is a good way to get to that, because you have that, so you can always picture it. Yeah. I don't know if that answers it.
No, it does. I'm just trying to think about my own life and my own experiences where sometimes they say, like, okay, if a door closes, then another one is opening, but sometimes you got to knock on the door again. Yes. And it's hard to figure out or distinguish, like, how many times you need to knock. How many times do you keep entering that door, or are you being set up for something, a greater opportunity that maybe you're not envisioning or seeing right now? Yeah. But I think it's a good thing to do that practice that you said of reflecting and visualizing and closing your eyes and seeing what truly matters. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you want? What are your goals? Where do you see yourself? I know people always say that cliche question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But seriously, when you're alone in bed at night, I encourage everybody to seriously close your eyes and think about, what do I want my life to be? Once you vision it, how do I get there? Break it down into small steps that don't seem so overwhelming. What's something I can do every month, every week, and then every day to get to that? And so I think that keeps people more clear and more, envisioning what they want for their life.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, my goal, like, I always loved fashion magazines growing up. Okay. I've always wanted to do public relations for a fashion magazine. So like do PR for Harper's Bazaar or Vogue or Elle or Marie Claire or any of those. And I want to work at Condé Nast or Hearst doing PR for that. So running events and helping secure covers and all that type of stuff. That's definitely my dream. And so I'm working to get to that.
Send them this. Yeah. Send them this. Be like, yo. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I moved to London for a bit to write for a fashion magazine overseas in college. And so that's, I guess, 2 magazines I've worked for, one in London and then The Knot here in New York. And I just love the inner workings, but I don't want to be on editorial. Okay. Like, I love writing, but I couldn't see myself doing it as a job 24/7. I think I would start to resent it. Yeah. But I love magazines and how they work, and I like treasure the editorial coverage and all that. So I know public relations at a magazine would be it for me. Yeah. You're hearing it here first. Yes. You can look back on this in 5 years and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing PR at first.
So I hear that, speaking of writing, I hear that you are an author now and have a book coming out soon.
I do. Yes, I do have a book coming out. I won't spoil all the details of it, obviously, but it started actually when I first moved to New York because, again, I didn't know anybody. I only knew like 1 or 2 people that I had met, So I didn't have anybody to talk to, right? And I've always loved to write. I've been writing as long as I can remember. So I started writing down everything from what I ate for lunch today to moments where I'm feeling lonely to heartbreak that I went through very early on in college to meeting new friends and exploring the city. And I kind of got in the habit of doing that over the years. So I've kind of always chronicled my daily life. And then I was sitting with a girl I grew up with she's basically my little sister. And I was showing her some of this. She was here visiting me in New York. And I was telling her what I do and why I write and da-da-da. And she, about 2 years ago, she said, wait, are you kidding me? This should be a book. And I'm like, what, really? And she said, yeah, 100%. Just like edit stuff out, add dialogue, give it a storyline, you know, make it a book. But she's like, you have 500 pages here, you know, make it a book. So I said, all right, fine. So I did, and I started putting it together, and a lot of it is about dating and my career and moving to New York and all of that. But I think what makes the book really unique is that it's written and told through the lens of a Gen Z plus-size woman. And I think that's incredibly important because I don't see many romantic leads or Gossip Girl, Sex and the City type stories that are written by a plus-size woman who dates all types of cultures, who has friends from all over the world, who hangs out with every type of skin tone on the planet. And so I think that's a really important kind of piece of it. And there's a lot of moments throughout the book that plus-size women can relate to, but also any woman. I mean, Zara.
Yeah.
Enemy number one.
Yeah.
I have a couple like scenes in the book where I'm like, shit, I have a date tonight. I got to run to Zara. Split dress open in the back because nothing fits. Or, you know, rushing to go to a event and you have nothing to wear. So I had to just pull my sewing machine out and make something.
Shit, that's kind of cool. Let me just pull out my sewing machine.
Like whip up a dress. Because like nothing in the stores fits. So it's like, there's a lot of like funny moments. There's a lot of dating and like, you know how dating is here. Like
actually, I don't know. Tell me about it.
Okay.
What has been the weirdest or cringiest date you've been on?
Oh, girl. Weirdest or cringiest?
Yeah.
What, like this year? No, I'm kidding. I don't even know. I would say I have one that's like cringe, but it's also kind of mean.
Oh, okay.
But like, whatever. I can laugh at it now because he slid in my DMs like a month ago. So whatever. But basically, I was out with this guy and we were like, you know, we met on Hinge, whatever. We were going out and we were DMing back and forth. And he was like, do you want to go to the Ainsworth in Hoboken? Whatever. And I was like, yeah, they have the best like mac and cheeseburgers there. Like, I'm down. So we go and, you know, we're on the date and I think it's going well. Honestly, I didn't think he was like that cute, but he was like 6'6". So I was like, whatever, I'll just go with it.
Okay.
You know me. So, so we're on the date and then we leave and then he starts like immediately, like the second he gets home, sexting me. But he didn't make a move on me in person, which I was like, that's kind of weird, you know? And then I didn't give it back to him. And he was like, well, whatever, you're a fat fuck anyway. And I was like, boy, says the one who was just all over me and on Snapchat DMs, like trying to get like nudes and all this shit. And I was just like, that is so like, ew. Like you just gave me the ick so bad. Like, how are you go from like, I don't know, being like up my ass and then I turn you down and then all of a sudden I'm a fat fuck? Like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Whatever. Like, pop off. So I was just like, that's like so, like some men are just so pointless. So I blocked him. And then this was like pre-COVID. So he followed me on TikTok. Oh. And I was like, oh, it's the fucker. Like, so he DM'd. So I follow him back because I'm like, what does this man want? And then he DMs me and he's like, yo, you got hot. And I was like, I've always been hot. I don't know why this is new to you. No, I'm kidding. But I was just like, come on, like, shut up. Like, whatever. And then he was like, I see you got a man. And I was like, yeah, so suck it. Damn. So I'd say that's the most like, okay, you gave me the ick. Like, why come for my neck? Because I reject you. Yeah. Like, sorry. Yeah.
Dude, people are ruthless.
I know.
Oh my god.
New York City dating is no joke. That's why there's so many shows about it.
Yeah. Shoot.
It's tough.
Damn. No, I love that it's like through the lens of a plus size woman. Yes. And like you said, just being in a diverse community, being in a melting pot, just having all the experiences that normally people maybe from other communities or other towns or other cities won't. Because like I come from a really small town and, you know, there's not that much diversity. There's not that much open-mindedness until like I moved for undergrad. And then from undergrad, I moved here, which just opened me up to a whole different world and a whole new perspective. And just embracing who you are, because even in high school, I was the biggest out of my friend group. Didn't have the best relationship with my body. You know, my family, everyone's always telling you to lose weight and do stuff. And like, I was there trying to shop at Abercrombie, and I would like buy the jeans, and all of them would eventually rip. Mm-hmm. Especially like if I'm at school. Oh my gosh, I haven't talked about this, but like, man, I used to feel so embarrassed, and so then like I'll just take a jacket and tie it around my waist because I'm like, I don't want the freaking rip to show,
right?
You know, and I was big, but I wasn't even like that big, which is saying something that there was not even clothing for medium curvy girls, right? Or just like girls that are hitting puberty and their body might be disproportionate, or like they're coming into who they are and everything. So I think it was a very like traumatizing time for me, and I still see that girl today.
Yeah.
Which is so tough, but I wish I met you in high school and wore your clothes that you were making, because I needed that. I remember shopping for prom was a whole like thing, right? Like my mom, my grandma, everyone came with me because it's so hard to freaking find a dress.
Yeah.
I tried going with my friends and nothing worked out, and I just felt so embarrassed like trying on dresses in front of them because they just either wouldn't look good, they wouldn't fit, but they would look awesome in every dress that they're trying.
Oh yeah, story of my life.
Yeah, so and not that like they made me feel that way necessarily, but I felt that way, and people in high school just make you feel that way, like no, you're not the one that people are attracted to, you know, you're kind of like the
background friend.
Yeah, the background friend. So New York City has taught me to embrace myself and to embrace others and to just love everyone.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think it changed my perspective on that from so many angles. I came from a very privileged white community, right? You know, like you mentioned, lack of diversity. And there was some diversity, but not nearly as much as I have now. And everybody looked the same. Like I see people and I'm like, I legitimately cannot tell you apart. Like it's blonde hair, blue eyes, same haircuts, same clothes, same everything. And then me, I felt like a literal big black sheep, like always just sticking out like a sore thumb. And when I moved to New York, blending in at FIT was even harder because a lot of girls at FIT are literal models, like actual, like I see them on billboards models. So then I'm like, okay, this is another environment where I'm like sticking out. But then, you know, as I was continuing my career, I felt like, once again, I'm at a crossroads. What am I going to do next? Am I going to spend the rest of my life hating my body, comparing myself to Instagram models and, you know, my classmates and my skinny, beautiful, gorgeous friends? You know, I can't change my body. I've had every nutritionist, every weight loss, every diet plan. I was vegan. I was vegetarian. I've worked out 3 times a day. I've done everything a human can do to lose weight. But because of my health condition, it's literally impossible for me without doing like some drastic surgery. But anyway, I was just had to make the decision. Do I want to go on hating my body for the rest of my life? Or do I want to say, I'm beautiful, they're beautiful, why can't we both be beautiful? There's enough for every woman, every race, every ethnicity, every body size to feel beautiful. And how could I make a company and work for, you know, size inclusivity in fashion when behind closed doors I'm hating my body? That's a bit hypocritical, right? So I just got to a point where I was like, you know what, whether people love me or hate me, I'm going to be me. I'm not going to change my body to fit society standards. And if that's not okay with you, that's okay. You're entitled to that opinion. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to love myself. And that's the end of it. And honestly, I was actually having this conversation the other day with my friend. So, and she said, how do you always, like, you're so confident. How do you always have this air of like, you know, confidence all the time? And I said, I don't know. I said, it's not cockiness. It just comes from a place of loving who I am and embracing the body that God gave me and not really caring about outside opinions. Yeah. Like if people from my hometown or people here or whoever calls me fat, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And like, I I know. I see my body every day. I'm well aware.
Yeah.
So I think just shaking off comments like that, it has made a huge difference. And to be honest, I don't wish my body were different. I don't wish I was a supermodel. I don't envy very skinny girls, because I realize that being skinny isn't everything. And that's not the only way to be beautiful. Yeah. And so, you know, the fashion industry, I think, has made strides in recent years. But to kind of wrap it all up, the book is really a love letter to myself. Yeah. And to other curvy women that deal with and have dealt with and will deal with in the future. Yeah. You know, weight problems. So,
wow. Yeah. Wow. I love that. I feel like it's not even I think it's just women in general and how they view themselves and their body, right? Because I have friends that struggle with weight, but I have friends that struggle with being really skinny too.
Exactly.
And both sides, like, the skinny one wants to be bigger and the bigger one wants to be skinny, and it's just like this endless cycle and this endless loop. And I recently realized, first, I just want to say that's so inspiring, and I've just been reflecting so much and just how harsh I've been on myself lately. And so a practice that I have been doing when I see another woman and maybe I feel insecure, I'm like, she is beautiful and her beauty does not take away from my beauty.
Yes, 1,000%.
I have to remind myself in my head all the time and shift my brain. And now, like, when I'm walking in the street, I try looking for individuals that I find beautiful and either compliment them in person or like just say it in my head so that I can continuously practice that, because I think I've kind of lost the self-love with myself. And I'm just like, why? Because when I look at old pictures of myself, I was like, I was so beautiful, and I was criticizing myself so much during that. And we hear that all the time, but you know, I've been noticing that more and more. So I think just that practice of somebody else's beauty doesn't take away from yours. And your friend was so right. Any room you walk into being authentically yourself, which is what I've seen. Yeah. And I think that's the most beautiful thing in the end. That's all that matters. Like, outward appearance doesn't matter, because that's going to change anyway.
Yes.
And it's your presence that brings people together. It's your presence that has brought you all these amazing opportunities, all these friends, all this diversity. It's your presence that has led you to come to New York and to work for your dreams. And it's your genuine presence that has brought you genuine relationships.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I think being someone who didn't grow up with a ton of friends, you know, when I moved to New York and started meeting people left and right, that was very new to me, you know, but I have the most international friend group, I think, on the planet. And I always joke, I'm like, I don't even know Americans. Like, I genuinely don't. Like, I know very few American people. Like, my friends are from everywhere from Nigeria to Ecuador to Italy to Australia to you name it, you name the country. And I think hearing their stories of either moving to the United States or how life is in their countries or whatever the case may be taught me the value of listening and the value and the beauty of other cultures. I think the best thing you can have in your entire life is people that are nothing like you. Yeah. Because they teach you more than, and you know, if someone's just like you, well, that's kind of boring because you're always going to agree and you're never going to grow. But I think, you know, who I date and who I'm friends with and who I have closest to me are people you you guys are friends, really? Like, one of my best friends, he's Nigerian, 6'4", and a doctor, right? And people always see us and think we're dating. And I'm like, ew. And he's like, ew. We're like siblings. But because we look, you know, it's a thick white girl with a tall black guy, people always assume, oh, they have to be dating. But he introduces me as his little sister, which confuses the hell out of people. But I think having those diverse friendships has also made me, more confident in myself and understand that everybody's different. Everybody has different struggles. We all go through things. We all have different societal norms. We all have different beauty standards. We all have different expectations for life. And I think that also helped and played a key component in self-acceptance and loving myself.
Yeah. So why do you feel that you coming from a predominantly white community, or just anyone coming from their hometown or their community, I feel like sometimes they can come and either expand or they can just find that same community within wherever they're at. Yeah. So what was different about you that you were open to that?
I think I've always been a bit more open. My dad has a lot of friends from DR and from, minority communities. And then my mom's whole career was helping minority communities. And so I've always had a pretty good amount of exposure to other types of people. In high school, I know I had a lot of Black friends, and, I've just always been very open-minded, as is my brother. So when I moved to New York, I just kind of kept following that. And then I realized the more differences I have with people, the better, the more we learn from each other, the more we get along. And so I think it's more about a desire to learn. My first probably 2 years in New York, I did a whole lot of listening. I just listened to, I have Arab friends, so I listened to their stories growing up in Dubai and the Middle East and how women are treated there. I listened to, beauty standards throughout Africa. I just listened to Latin culture and how they treat women and children and what's kind of the standard. And I listened to friends from India, and I just listened, and I think the more I listened, the more I wanted to know. Wow. And so you see a lot of that too in the book. There's a lot of diversity swirling around. So I think, listening was really what kind of, I just shut up and listened. Yeah.
What is the title of the book?
So the title of the book is Swipe Me Off My Feet.
Love it.
Because dating apps, you swipe. So it's called Swipe Me Off My Feet. And it's about dating in New York. But it's also, like I mentioned earlier, it's got a lot about my career, a lot about size inclusivity, diversity, etc. So.
Wow, I'm so excited for it.
I can't wait. I can't believe it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
It's gonna air out my whole life, because it's it's told through a character. So my character's name is Olivia May in the book, so it's kind of told through her lens, but I mean everything is pretty much exactly how it happened, so it'll be based on a true story. But
do you know when it's coming out?
I don't have a release date yet. Okay. There's been some back and forth with editing and agents and trying to find the right agent and publishing and etc. Yeah. When you're a new author, it's much longer process than when you've had multiple books come out and you have an agent, etc. So I will definitely keep you posted.
Yes.
But I don't have a date yet.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. Everyone that's listening, as soon as it comes out, I know I'm going to read it. I'm so excited. I love finding new books, and just especially if it's yours, I gotta read it, But I feel so inspired sitting here right now. I feel I am re-loving myself. You have made me re-love myself. Good. And I just want to say thank you for that. And I hope that everyone out there that's listening is also feeling that way, and just reframing where you're at, especially being in places where there's beautiful people 24/7. You can't look like them. You can't change your height. You can't change certain aspects of your body. And the best thing to do is just love yourself, and you will end up being the most lovable person in the room. Yeah, it's contagious. It really is. It is contagious. It is contagious. But I wanted to end off by asking, what is one thing that you are very proud of for yourself that you feel right now currently, and also one thing that you are struggling with right now? Okay. Good question.
I'd say my most recent thing I'm proud of is graduating NYU with a master's.
Mm-hmm.
I got my master's so that I could become a professor at FIT because I really want to influence the next generation and blah, blah, blah.
Ooh.
So, yeah, so I'd say I'm proud of that, and I hope to be one of FIT's youngest ever professors. So that's kind of cool.
FIT, let's go.
So I'm still, I'm proud of that. And then something I'm struggling with, we kind of touched on earlier, but remembering why I'm in New York and remembering that $5 boxes of Cheez-Its are for a reason.
Yeah.
This expensive, crazy city. I'm here for a reason. Even though there's been some setbacks, like my recent layoff, I still have a purpose. I still want to make an impact in the lives of women everywhere. Yeah. And I still, have a reason for being in New York.
Yeah, and you are making an impact. You're making an impact by sitting here right now talking about this, with a job or without a job. I feel like that's really important for everyone to know that your purpose is not tied to the job you're working at. It might help fulfill the purpose that you're trying to do, but it can be fulfilled in so many different ways, and maybe people that you want to impact might not come shop or see where you're working or whatever, maybe they'll hear this or maybe they'll read your book. So I think it's that reminder that you're living your purpose, because you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk, right? You embrace that purpose within you by showing up as who you are. So I think just remember that. And what is something that you accomplished in the last 6 months that you really loved, and what are you looking forward to for the next 6 months?
NYU.
Okay, no, that's great. Yeah.
Keeps going in my head.
As you should. You should be proud of that. Yeah.
So they have accomplished in the last 6 months. This might be stupid, but proudly wearing a swimsuit in the Bahamas. Because usually I'd wear the biggest frock in the swimsuit, and
dude,
I wore
awesome.
a 2-piece for the first time, so that was kind of cool. But that's not really an accomplishment.
No, that
but
is.
It was a stride, if you will.
That is a stride.
And then what was the second part? Sorry.
What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year?
I am looking forward to freaking living my life and getting a new job and hopefully making an impact somewhere, wherever I land next. I really hope this book comes out. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to continuing to grow my relationship with my friends and my family and kind of everyone in between. Yeah.
I love that. And then in this downtime that you've had, what have you been doing? Because I know a lot of people maybe are in this gray zone. Have you been having fun and taking time with fun employment, or have you been stressing and continuously trying to apply, or have you been reevaluating your direction and your purpose?
Kind of all of the above.
Okay.
I can't sit still because I'm just I'm so active. I have been freelancing for previous employers, so I've been working part-time for Justin Alexander, which has been great. I know the team, they know me. It's just been great. And then I've been hanging out with my friends as much as I can. I went to lunch yesterday with my best friend's boyfriend at 1:00 on a Wednesday, and I was I am such a rebel. Corporate Julianne could never. So I'm just kind of enjoying more spur of the moment things, traveling, etc. And then I'm also working on the second book.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm about 4 chapters into the second book, the sequel. So I don't have a name for it yet, but it'll be a lot more career oriented and kind of the next phase. Olivia kind of gets out of partying a little bit, settles down with her man, and is just kind of working on her career. So that'll be And this is the second book.
I love this. That's amazing. That is so amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I had so much fun. I'm
Me
so
too.
glad that we were able to do this.
Me too.
I think it's been like 3 months in the making of trying to schedule
Seriously,
this.
I know, because I did not have time. It was like I was so 9 to 9 every day. I was like, oh my God.
So at least this one good thing
Silver
came
lining.
out of it. Yeah,
Exactly.
Thank
Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing.
Of course.
I can't wait to.
Of course. I hope that everyone out there, I hope you go out and love yourself, because that's the only thing that's going to stay with you, and you deserve to love yourself as who you are, authentically as who you are. And thank you once again for making me re-love myself.
Of course.
And reevaluating the way that I have been thinking about myself and thinking about others, and just remembering that everyone is beautiful and it's okay. We are not other people's words. You know, those are just their insecurities being projected onto us.
Yes. Amen.
And beauty standards are different everywhere, and just because, you know, objectively somebody might not find you beautiful here, you can be the most beautiful person somewhere else.
Yeah.
But that doesn't even matter, because everyone is beautiful. And I love you guys. I hope that everyone listening has an amazing and beautiful day. And shout out to Julianne. Thank you so much for being here. This was such a good conversation.
Yeah.
I had so much
fun. People
fun.
learn from it and benefit from it. And
Yes. Thank you guys for being here, and make sure you check out her book when it comes out, because it sounds awesome. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Love you.
You too, girl. Love you too.